Good afternoon, dear friends. Today we'll be looking at another new topic, which is called SNDP movement. It is one of the social justice reform movement, one of the part of it. So SNDP movement is nothing but Sri Narayana Garu Dharma Paripalana Yogam. It was started in the year 1903 by Sri Narayana Garu. Basically, it is one of the part and parcel of the movement of self-respect movement. So there, in the last yesterday's class, we have seen how the self-respect movement has been, started in Tamil Nadu, okay, and how it has slowly from the basically from Tamil Nadu to Telugu-speaking states, and also how it went to the Karnataka and also in the Mysore. So that it is one of the type of the social respect movement. And now today, the SNDP movement is also another type of reform, social reform movement, which was initiated by Sri Narayana Garu, and that is known as SNDP movement. S means Sri Narayana Dharma Paripalana Yogam. It was established in 1903. Now let us see exactly about this moment now. Yes, basically, Sri Narayana Garu, he was from Kerala, and Yojana, he started this as a Yojana, is a movement. Yojana means a movement in the year 1903. So basically, he belongs to a lower caste people, lower community class. I mean, in Kerala. Basically, he belongs from the Kerala, and the community name is now for Izaharas. No, it known as Izaharas. It spells like EZHAVAS. It like EZHAVAS. Izaharas. It's a lower caste, lower community people, lower caste people, lower caste community. I mean, what I mean to say, I'm sorry. It's a lower caste community, and where the Narayana Garu belongs to that community. So if you see here, the motto behind the Sri Narayana Garu was through this SNDP movement. He was of an ideology in terms of one nation, in terms of one caste, one religion, one God. So this was his motto, and this was his very notion, or it was his motto behind, or we talk about it was his ideology in terms of his reform movement. And where he has also in terms of caste organization, he has built up a very strong organization, and also very strong followers and supporters also he got to this movement. That will be seeing in the further in just couple of minutes. So he was talk he much of he had described mainly two important like factors for this SNDP movement. One is establishment. I mean, first one is encouraging encouraging education and establishment of educational institutions, right? Because his first priority, because we have seen, because you see here, because he himself belonged from a lower caste community, and where his the very nature, the very reason behind the starting of his SNDP Yojana, Yogam is itself like being he has to uplift his own Ezhavas community with the lower caste community from which he belonged, and many other depressed class and caste people also were there in different with the way they were scattered in different groups and different things in Kerala, and he wanted to uplift this kind of people, this kind of community in terms of the caste sector. So he has Narayan Garu has given much of importance in terms of giving education to the poor and needy and also depressed class people. So he opened many schools, he opened many colleges in Kerala, and he spread a massive scale among the community in terms of education, the awareness of education, and in terms how the education will be helpful, and also how the people will be developing from through the education, basically the lower caste or lower community people. This all he has he was no, this all he was saying in his movement to the lower caste people. And also they say that the first one that establishment, encouraging education and establishment of education institution. Second one is building temples and simplifying the rituals. So basically those days, if you see, not only in Kerala, it was entire in part of all over the India. You can, if you see that most of the temples where almost all, the lower caste people or the lower community people were not allowed to, and they were not allowed to the into the temples. They were banned in terms of entry by the lower caste people into the temples. This we have seen, and there are a lot of literature available in this term. And second one also, like the rituals. I mean, the spiritual things was also very vast. It was very much. It was, no, it was the practice which was only the Brahmins were the people who were, and the Brahmins who were allowed, because they have built up, they have started, and they were the superior caste people, community people in the society. So it was not so easy for the lower caste people, depressed community people, other section minority people to enter into the temple so easily. So he has built up a, what is a number of temples, and also simplifying the rituals in terms of depressed class, in terms of marriage ceremonies or any some of occasions, whichever it comes into the picture. So that was also one of his motto in terms of establish or building of the temples. So basically with the worship system, the marriage or other funeral system, this also has started. I mean, this also was the point in terms of his the Narayana Garu's main motto in terms of building the temple. And also with his, he wanted to help the people, to poor people of the community, and to secure and to make them secular, and also in terms of spiritual matters also. So that's the reason, because those days it was not so easy in terms of secular, in terms of ideologically, because they were all not. We have seen from the day one classes how the orthodox type of practices and superstitious beliefs were there in terms of societal practice, evil practice. That's why he wanted to make, because as India is a secular, because now it's talk about in 19th century, all of this at least half, just another half before the independence, but also even after independence, this kind of practice has been prevailing in much in other Indian other states of the nation. But still then he wanted to bring some sort of changes in terms of temple entry to the Dalits, Dalita, the lower caste people, community people, basically the Ezhawas from which he belong in the Kerala. And also he has widely, Narayana Garu has traveled widely, almost for 15 years throughout the Kerala, in terms of spreading education, in terms of establishing the temples. Okay, and throughout he helped the community to develop. He has motivated them in terms of self confidence, and also what I would say, and also he brought much of the social awareness to the people. And also he has created in terms of self cleaning. Cleaning means clean, self cleanliness. How right now what we are seeing, Swachh Bharat, Swachh Nation, Swachh India. So like this kind of things, he was also having the motto, and he guided them to clean up their houses, street, and cultivate a good habit of also in terms of food. So this was much of the a very simply and very good intentions, good things were there in Narayana Garu's ideology in terms of this SNDP movement as a reformer. He has widely spread. Basically, we can say he has much of not only trial 50, but he, like I said, how Ishwasan Vidyasagar Rao has communicated, has spent I don't know, the entire his life in terms of against the abolition of child marriages. In the same way, the Sri Narayana Garu from Kerala, Ishwachandra Vidyasagar was from AP. So, but how Narayana and Sri Narayana Garu from Kerala, he has also extensively spread, and he has made 15 years of his life just traveling all over the Kerala, and motivating, encouraging, and building self-awareness, self-confidence in the minds of the people in terms of education, and also temple entry. So these were the things which he has taken forward. And in terms, he has also made a good effort in terms of this temple building, is also in terms of a religious reform movement of this yogam of SNDP movement. And he was very extensively, very much undertook various religious and social reform activities. He did make attempt, because he did not make any attempt, like establishing a new religion or new idiom against the Hinduism or against the Brahminical sect of the people. But he was not against. Nowhere he has much that of the intention basically. But he has contributed a lot. What I'm saying, he has contributed a lot in terms of guiding people, motivating people, getting awareness in terms of self confidence, self dignity. These kind of things has been given by Sri Narayana Garu, which we have seen in other sections. So he approached. I mean, what you say is he was a very silent worker. He was very Narayana Garu was a silent worker, and also he was very great communicator in terms of his ideology to reach the common people. Basically, illiteracy was very much high abandoned those days. I mean, nowadays, now if you see, Kerala is top number one in India in terms of education, 100% literacy that is there. But still, then we are not against that. But still, then those days in 1880s, it was in 18th centuries, it was not that scenario which we see today. And his mission to make this awareness also. So Narangadu was, even though he was born in Hinduism, and until he didn't change his caste, he died in Hinduism. But he also suggested some of the irregularities, unscientific, and blind and superstitious belief which were attached to the so-called caste of Hinduism. He was against to the system. So during this time, the Avarna was was allowed to other temple. They were these were, the lower caste people were also allowed into the entry of the temple in other part of the place of Kerala also. And basically, those days, many of the temples, as I said just now, many of the temples were under the clutches, means under the hands or under the supremacy of the Brahmin people. And like it says, the priests who were allowed entry only for the worshipping and all this, only for the high caste and high class people. But they denied permission, and they denied completely to the lower class people and lower section of the society. That was also prevailing. But temples were and also they were also under control of the the Brahmins, where there were strict rules, strict laws, strict regulations. And they were under control of Avarnas, and Avarnas in the temples, and they were having much of the supremacy or power in terms of the temples basically. And Sri Narayana Garu condemned such caste, what is rigidity, and also rigidity regulation to decide, and like to decide change, and the age-old practices of the priestly people which were following. And also they have to change the mindset of the even the high caste people, and also to awaken the things of the lower caste people, or also the so-called we also known as Dalits, or those we call of untouchables. Okay, so we have to bring this kind of awareness also. So he has in terms of that, he made it his mind. So Narayana Garu made his mind in terms of construction a Shiva temple, a Shiva temple at Arvipuram. It's a place in Kerala. It's a Arvipuram, where he has constructed a very big temple of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva in 1888. Basically, I think, yeah, it's in 1888. And and it represents the beginning and practicing and recreating revolution in Kerala. So by a Dalit, I mean a lower caste person, Nayangar, where he belongs, and he constructed a very big Shiva temple in Avanipuram. and also here, that was against the norms and rules of the society. Basically, the Brahmins were much of against. But still, then it was one of the sensational aspect. And also we can say it as some sort of a revolution, or create an awakening revolution he has created in the Kerala. And as per that caste norms, basically according to that, he was talking about in terms of not only in terms of other things, but he was also talking about in terms of all the lower caste people can enter into the temple, as per the caste terms, only the not the upper caste people, okay, particularly the Brahmins, were entitled to consecrate the construction of the temple. But Narayana, what I mean to say is that those days only Brahmins were entitled to construct the temples, but not other castes. But Sri Narayana, who began the successful in construction of this temple, had got an inspiration, and to go ahead and inspiration from him, and like he has constructed more than 60 to 80 temples in different part of the Kerala. Basically, 60 to 80 temples in different part of the Kerala. But it means it was some sort of awakening. Also, it's not that easy, because construction of the temple is not so easy. And during his lifetime, he has constructed 60 to 80 temples in different part of the Kerala, and the temple and proved Jan message, and millions of people, basically the lower caste people who were denied entry to the temples. It was an awakening for them, and all the lower class people, they were they were very happy in terms of they were allowed in terms of entry into temple. And basically in terms of this creation of this temple, Sri Narayana Datta, he has introduced three specific religious reforms in terms of this conservationist, and in terms of this conservationist. The first one was he considered greater greater. I mean, he consecrated a higher gods in place of the lower ones, and inscripted dedicated his sannyasis and who were the followers of him to be in simple, what I mean to in simple words, that his own followers, basically the person from the lower caste community, the is Hawas. So he from his own community to function has to perform as a priest in the temple. That was one of the very wonderful reform he has created, Sri Narayana Garu. And second one he was talking about in terms of he suggested his followers to build new temples, and simple in a less expensive in less expensive mode. And that was another. And the third one, he was introduced notable changes and task of following new temples, founding of new temples. That was another very good specification which was led by Sri Narayana Garu in terms of the construction of the temples. However, he established these three different types of temples also. Means in establishment of these three different types of temples, basically they what means there were three different types of temple what he has done. Other one earlier was what I said, it was a reform which has taken place in this different type of temples which he was constructed, or which he constructed. He said that there are three different types of temple he has constructed. Okay, means it's not only one temple. In 1888, he has constructed a Shiva temple which is very big, and he has created a massive awareness and a revolution in the Kerala, where only Brahmins were allowed to construct the temples, and all its belongings were under the supremacy hands of the people. But that's other thing. But here he talked about he not only said his followers to his own community person to be one of the priests, perform, and also perform the rituals which are very very low, and also build the temples at the low expense, and also to founding new temples in new places, so that all the lower caste people can go and enter the temple, and they also will feel very happy in terms equal with the other caste people. That was the other side. The another part is the later of the other version is that he has built three different types of temples, where he tells the first temple that in this temple they were where all the pujas, regular worship, and other ceremonies, and this was all common. That is the first one. Like how all other temples functions in the same way, the number one first type of temple would be functioning in the same way in terms of pujas or regular worship, or in terms of any ceremony. This kind of things were allowed. That was there in the first type of thing. And in the second one, basically there were temples with idols with no customary pujas or celebrations. Second is they were idols, but there was no customary pujas or celebrations in those second type of temple. And the final third one, that the temples were no idols or no images, nothing, just it was something like a hall, So this was other third type. First one is as normal as everywhere, as the pujas were used to function and everything was there. First type. Second type is was where there was no idols, but the other only customary pujas or celebrations used to be there. But the third, there was no idols or no images. So this was another type, third type of the thing which was established, which was built by the Narayana Garu, Narayana Garu, his own thinkings. So that was another religious reforms which is brought. And when we come back, when we go ahead in terms of social reforms, which the Narayana Garu has started, or the Narayana Garu has inscribed, is another also very wonderful things which we will be seeing.